Well, episode 5 of the Vodcast?
Vodcast. Yes.
The Fab Vodcast?
Is it 5?
I
You know,
think so.
I'm behind. Like
I think
I'm
it's
on
5.
episode
I think
3
it's 5.
still.
The two deck building, then we did the generic commons, and then we did Everfest.
I haven't even reached the episode where we changed the name.
Well, that was Everfest. Everfest was
That's
the
true.
Vodcast.
So I'm probably that was on 4.
Yes.
So I'm just one behind.
Yeah. So we are on episode 5. Audio slightly updated for at least one of us.
Maybe.
But it was the one of us that was having issues last time.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Wait, which one?
That was me.
Are you sure it wasn't me?
That entire.
I know you were having. You had no audio, so technically you had no issues.
That entire podcast, why its audio is so kind of out of whack, is that it's all off of your one lapel mic.
Yep.
And I'm just loud enough to come across on it. All right, but what we're doing this week, I think we may have discussed this in the last episode. I can't really remember, but we're building Data Doll because
we can.
All people must one day take that crazy journey and try to make Data Doll viable.
Right.
We're not trying to make her amazing. That won't happen. We're trying to make the best Data Doll we can.
We're making the most competitive Data Doll she can be in Commoner.
Which, to illustrate a great point, we're going to start out by looking at competitive decks that have done well within the last, couple of years. And as you can see by the search, there are none. None of them have made top 32.
Until now.
We have no deck list to go off of from that. I know some other people in the community, I believe, have tried making it. And obviously we have new cards now, so we're just going to kind of wing it.
This is groundbreaking here.
It is. This is very groundbreaking. So first thing to note is that we get 6 rares. So we're already using one of our rares for the privilege of having one less card in hand. So that is Data Doll.
Now, luckily, there's only 6 rares that she could technically use.
Well, I mean
there's more.
You could use the attacks too and the weapons.
You could use the attacks, but I'm just saying there's 6 rare items.
And arguably, Pour the Mold is actually a great card for a Data Doll deck.
Okay. Because
it puts items from your hand into the arena for free.
That makes sense.
Which is obviously really good for when you draw all items. The problem is there are no items. So, in this rarity, there are a very reduced number of items.
That's true.
And we're already using all of our rare slots. We can't even really get away with Pour the Mold.
Well, technically, we haven't...
We can run one Pour the Mold.
We haven't... Yes, we could.
Oh, yes. We have not dedicated the rest of our rare slots yet. This is probably, I guess that's where we start. We start with the rares in this case.
That makes sense.
And that means we are absolutely taking 2
Convection
copies.
Amplifier. And...
Yeah, we're taking Convection, Amplifier. So we have the 2 steam counters when it enters. When it has no counters, it dies. And you can remove a counter to give the next attack action card you play this turn Dominate.
Yep.
This is just kind of one of our finishers.
Yeah, I guess.
In a way. The only downside with it is that a lot of those attacks already have Dominate.
That's true.
Or already have ways to give or gain Dominate. But I think it's still worth it anyways. There's going to be times that we can't hit those effects or stuff like that. So this is an auto include. So right off the bat, let's just throw it in. Throw in the 2. And then Cognition Nodes, if I remember correctly, this was pretty good.
I don't remember.
Oh, yes. This is just... It's not like an amazing card, but it is something really good in the Mechanologist. Because it recycles attacks.
That makes sense.
So, yeah. Not that we're surprised that this is the way it's working out.
Right.
Since we kind of discussed this a little bit before.
Does it destroy itself? I forget.
It does, eventually. Okay. Basically, all of these items do that. To some degree. If we put Aether Sink in, that doesn't break itself. Oh wait, no, this one doesn't.
No, it does not.
Oh,
no.
But it starts with no counters on it. So you have to already invest into it.
Right, okay.
But yeah, so this one's good.
Wait.
What?
So you can only put a Steam counter on it if you've used it previously.
But no, it's if there's no counters on it, then you can put a counter on it.
Right.
So when it first
if it
enters,
it
right. has no counters.
But if it already has a counter, you can't have two counters on it.
No.
Right. That's
yes.
just what I'm saying.
Yeah. So the only way you're doing this more than once a turn is if you have a counter on it, you use it on an attack action, and then you break the chain to put a counter on it.
Right.
To go again. That said, not to spoil my thoughts for this list ahead of time, but I don't think we're going to care a ton about the chain, but maybe a little bit.
Right.
Because we only have 3 cards in hand as opposed to Dash's 4.
That's true.
So the Overblast chain game plan of Dash does not seem particularly wise
unless
here.
You take into account the arsenal.
Yes. So like I do for Dash, which means Dash has a 5 chain,
That's
and this
true.
is a 4 chain.
Yeah.
the card difference is still there. And I don't think that Data Doll has enough ways to get free resources to make up for it. So we've used 5 of our rares already.
It's ironic because I don't think there is an item that would give you resources.
There is Hyperdrive, but that's the only one.
Right.
Which Dash already has 2, and she starts with 1 in play. So
yep. A little behind.
Yep. And there is another item, but it's not in commoner.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It
is a Dash item exclusively.
Makes sense.
They really didn't like Data Doll. That said, I am very, very disappointed that we don't have access to Majestics and that the specializations are printed at Majestic, because Data Doll's specialization is actually so good.
Yeah.
Although if it was a rare, we would have to drop a Cognition Node or a Convection and run both.
Or, get rid of the Aether Sync.
Well, we haven't used our last rare slot.
We haven't talked about yet.
So, the big things for the rares. So, we did talk about Pour the Mold and how it's probably not worth it to run a 1-of. Also, since we're not going the Overblast plan, Plasma Barrel Shot's not that great either.
No.
Because if we can boost twice, it'll do more than the pistol, but it still costs double the pistol. So the pistol just seems better. And then that lets us use the other rare slot for something else.
Like?
Which these are probably the best choices. Although there is an argument for running like a 1-of Red T-Bone. I think there is an argument for that. But High Speed Impact is awesome because it's just, if it hits the next attack, you boost this chain, gains Dominate.
Right. And
it only costs 1 for 4 damage with boost.
Right. That's fairly cheap.
Pretty good.
Not the best, but I mean, you can't...
Yeah. And then Pedal to the Metal is more expensive because it costs 2, but it deals 1 more damage, and it's less conditional than High Speed Impact because it's the next. If this hits, your next attack this turn gains Dominate. Whereas High Speed Impact, the next attack has to boost to gain Dominate.
Oh, okay.
So like this is better in the Dash deck than this because you can give Dominate to Overblast.
Right.
Which is very, very good when you have an Overblast for like 8 or 9. But again, we'd only be able to run 1-ofs for these. And then T-Bone is just essentially a second copy of Yellow 0 to 60.
Yeah.
Or a third copy of Yellow 0 to 60. Which is kind of nice. It costs 0. That's helpful when you have like no cards in it.
Yeah.
So I mean there is actually a lot of argument to doing T-Bone. And then there's Aether Sync, which would give us 1 more item we can get for free, which is something we were kind of light on, and occasionally it'll be decent in a matchup.
It'll do something, maybe.
Yeah, or it'll be completely useless, but it does pitch for 2, which is not awful. Man, there are so many hands you can have with this deck that you just die. It
comes with a counter on it. You have to pay for a counter once you have none. And then all it gives you is an instant Arcane Barrier. It's a conditional Arcane Barrier, which you still have to pay for.
There are some turns you're just going to die because you draw 3 items and you can't block.
Yeah.
I'm just realizing this now as I'm looking at this Aether Sync. It's just none of these items block.
Right. I don't really
forget that.
think that Aether Sync is really worth it, do you?
Yeah, I guess not. I want it because like there's so few items that we can actually fit in.
But
We've already looked ahead to this, ahead, like weeks prior, there's not a lot of items, but at the same time, like this increases the number of free things we can get. But if it's useless, who really cares?
Free
Yeah.
arcane barrier. Oh wait, you gotta pay 3 for it.
Okay,
on your
all
second,
right.
Second time you
we're
use
not
it.
we're not using the rare for that.
Okay.
So the question is, do we want like just a generically good card like T-Bone, or do we want like a random high speed impact pedal to the middle for damage?
We could even go generic if we really wanted to.
I don't think you want. I still don't think I don't think there's a mechanologist in existence right now that wants to run less than full 40 mechanologist cards.
We could put some defense reactions in. Ooh. Rally of the rear guard.
So I am actually leaning towards T-Bone. I think I'm leaning towards that. And the whole reason behind that logic is that you're only going to have 3 cards in hand. So attacks that cost 0 seem really good.
They do.
Maybe I'm not giving Data Doll enough credit.
It only has 3, but it can only be blocked by equipment, right?
No, it can be blocked by whatever, but it forces them to block with equipment, which is pretty irrelevant in Commoner Blitz, but
Okay. So if they don't have a block in equipment, I guess they can still use something alongside the equipment, right?
Yes, it's good in theory. Like the only way that matters in like Commoner,
it would be destroying their equipment when they don't want to use it.
Well, but none of that equipment really. Well, okay, so like it's good against Ranger, the only class where they really hate them, so that all their equipment has Blade Break instead of Battle Worn.
Right.
So you could break Ranger equipment with it, but other than that,
what about
what it would be
Ironhide?
Best for is probably Ironhide only breaks if you pay for it.
Okay.
Iron Rot, sure.
That's
Iron
true.
Rot would work.
Yeah, but who uses that?
Yeah, but even in that case, they probably would have blocked anyway. So like, who cares? But what it could be good for is pulling things like Ironhide, and even if you're not breaking it, now they don't have it to use on your Dominate attack.
Okay.
Because Dominate you can block with a card from hand and as much equipment as you want. So I guess it, in theory, in rare cases, will clear the way for Dominate.
Can you use
attacks.
equipment only once during a chain?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. All right, we'll do the red T-Bone. That's our last rare.
All right.
Woo! I actually think T-Bone's not that bad though. Do they not even have it in the?
You're not spelling it right.
Yeah, it's with a hyphen, right?
Or it's a space.
Is this space?
Yeah, I have no clue.
Okay, nope. So they just don't have it. They don't have it on this site yet. Oh, that's gonna be a problem.
They might have it. They just might spell it differently.
Okay, wait, hang on. Let's do it this way. All class types, mechanologist cards. Tekla-Cord, Tekla-Vesson. No, they don't have
Well,
it
it
yet.
would be at the beginning of T's.
Okay, so it won't let me break that. Okay, well, this is not gonna be the best way. Oh wait, hang on. Please use the new one. Wait a minute. Deck Builder V2. Okay, and I have to log into save, but that we don't care about. Blitz. Okay. Oh, we're not over here looking like idiots. Alright. Tekla Plasma Pistol, we'll throw that in too, because we already know that that's going to be the case.
Right.
We already know.
We were talking about T-Bone.
Okay.
Right?
We were.
And
Convection Amplifier, have to put that back in.
oh, right.
Fog. Put that back in. T. Yeah, there we go. All right. Podcast is saved.
Yep.
because I already know we're going to be putting a decent number of Everfest cards in there because we talked about that at length in last episode.
We did. I'm pretty sure we added some to something before.
Well, I think we discussed how I would be modifying the dash deck.
Okay.
And that I was probably going to put some number of T-bones in because, like, you can get some really stupid overblast chains with T-bone.
Okay, so maybe we didn't actually add it.
And then we had discussed a couple, like, reload, I think it's called, or it's maybe not reload, whatever it is. We'll get to it. It's in the comments. All right, well, I guess we're done with the rares. Not a lot to choose from for Mechanologists since they've only been printed in one set plus 2 supplements. All right. Now into the comments. So, items. Since we are a Data Doll deck, and this is ostensibly the advantage we have, is that if we banish these, we get them for free.
Yep.
Payload, that's the one I was thinking of.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so that's everything there. So, we have Optical Monocle, Dissipation Shield, and Hyperdriver, and all of them are worth playing. I do not run Optical Monocle in Dash, and I think it's a very bad card in Dash, but it's actually insanely good in Data Doll, where we do care about opting.
Right.
Opting actually does things for us. And then having 2 Dissipation Shields is great, because this is just going to be something we occasionally hit off the top, and we just have free damage absorption, which will help, because we can't block with half of our deck.
Right.
So, you know, sweet. So, yeah, we're putting in all the items.
And that's nondescript damage, right?
Yep, it's any amount. It'll stop a Mark of Lightning, even. Because it's just however much damage you take next.
Okay.
Dissipation Shield and Optical Monocle. So, in other words, we have... Wait, hang on. Main deck. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 items.
I think there's... Oh, I'm thinking of the Aether
So,
Sink.
a quarter of our deck is items. So 1 in every 4 cards we will banish will be an item we get for free.
Yep.
Not the best.
Nope.
Not the best chances. But on the bright side, that means 3 out of every 4 cards we see will be playable.
That's true.
And we'll be able to block.
And we only have 3 cards in our hands, so I mean, that's perfect.
There we go.
The math lines up.
Yeah, the math lines up. Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah,
because
3 cards
the
in
3
hand,
out of 4,
you'll
that'll be the playables.
Yeah,
and the 4th card.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Every single time. It'll happen every single time.
Maybe they thought of this.
Yeah. That was the math they did. Oh, all right. Now, I guess since I mentioned it, so just a quick thing. What a Dash deck is looking to do in Commoner is finish with these. This is their finisher. You play a bunch of things, then you play an Overblast, usually for 8 or 9 damage.
Right.
And that's what kills your opponent. And you do like 20 damage one turn. We're not going to be able to build that kind of consistent chain. So instead, we're kind of just looking for value cards. Which, I feel like, this is a very good value card.
You're going for the yellow?
I'm on the red right now. This one's on the red. But actually...
it's just the angle.
Actually, though, maybe. We may be putting the yellow in.
Okay.
We're definitely putting the red and the blue. 100%. Because the blue does 4.
Right.
So that even still is good with Dominate. But the nice thing with Payload, it does cost 2, which is a bit pricey. But high damage with 6.
Yep.
And all you have to do is have boosted previously on that same chain.
To gain Dominate.
And then it has Dominate.
Okay.
And then it's actually like kind of a good budget finisher.
Right. But
it costs the same as Overblast.
It doesn't have boost itself.
No. So this is your finisher. Definitely your finisher.
Right. So,
or you're cracking your boots to give this go again.
That's one reason you might not want to go for the yellow.
That's fair. That's fair. Although to be fair, the same is true of Overblast, and I do run 1 yellow for this because this also has to be like a chain ender.
Right.
So, but I think this is our big payoff. So I think we do like the red and the
red and
blue for sure. So we'll start with that. Oh, and then this is just, you're playing Mechanologist. Like, if you are building a Mechanologist deck, you are putting in all 6 copies of 0 to 60.
Yeah,
That's not even a question.
Yep.
It's legitimately, like, the best card.
It's your bread and butter, essentially.
it's so free. It's so easy. Even the blue one still swings for 2 damage. It costs 0. It boosts, so it gets go again. Like, it's just, yeah, auto include. You're running all of them. You're even running the yellow.
It's your staple food. We'll go more general. Some people
True.
don't eat
True.
bread and butter.
And then lock and loaded was something that usually ended up in things. So this is like,
Okay.
your next attack gets plus whatever, and if you've already boosted this turn, it opts. Now that's really bad, this part, because payload cares about the chain.
Okay.
Overblast cares about the chain. This card is an action. It ends the chain.
Right. Okay.
So,
And it doesn't.
You know.
It doesn't have boost itself.
no. But, let's see. Now this one,
Zoom in.
this is an attack. Okay,
It
so
does
this is
cost
different.
2.
Okay. It does.
You're looking at the blue though.
Yeah, and it still does 3 damage,
Yeah.
which is actually kind of nice. I remembered us talking about this card for...
Right. This
for
is
her.
the new one, right?
Yes, and it's actually not bad because it does
X.
op,
Yeah.
where it's the number of times you've boosted this chain, which
That makes
does mean
sense.
that,
You have to boost.
Yes, and you're probably not going to be able to opt for a ton. It's probably going to mostly just be opting 1,
Right.
but we might still like that. Opting seems, especially free opting, like
Right.
stapled onto other things, seems pretty good.
It's a safer card, even though it costs more, because it has boost itself, so it plays off of
I am a
everything else.
little bit leery of the cost. Admittedly, I'm a little bit because we have so few cards
Yeah.
in hand, but I think we can run the red and the blue.
Okay.
I think. And and the importance here, since I haven't explicitly said this, but the reason we want opting is because that gives us a better chance of finding items on top instead of
Right.
cards we would like to attack with. So the more we can opt, the better.
Or, removing the things we don't want to boost.
Yes, true. And then locked and loaded, we'll keep that. This is like the penultimate filler.
Locked and loaded.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll keep it on the back burner
is this
for
the
now?
new one? This is the locked and loaded, the new one.
The rotary ram?
Yes, this is the one that if you've boosted, it goes on the bottom of your deck,
Okay.
which also is very medium because again, this ends the chain. It's the same problem with locked and loaded. And
Right.
maybe we would care more about opting than putting this on the bottom of our deck in a Data Doll deck.
Right.
Although again, we're not really super likely to use either. You used to have to use them. So like my Dash deck has them in there, but that was because you couldn't use rares and Everfest hadn't come out yet.
That's
so there
true.
weren't more commons to go in. Now you can kind of fix the curve a lot more. There's a lot of yellows in my Dash deck, and I probably can trim them now to add blues or reds in. So
So this has made Dash even better,
yes.
but Data Doll only slightly better.
Yes. True. Correct. Because and keep in mind we're also talking about the format change here because
Right.
now Dash can also run the plasma barrel
For
shot.
commoner. I guess they've above commoner, Data Doll is much better.
Yeah.
With her specialization
Oh yeah,
and all that.
she probably got more better than Dash did.
Mo-
That's so
more-
bad.
More better?
Yeah, more better.
More better. More better.
She got even better than Dash got from Everfest because
Right.
she has the Majestic specialization card that is so perfectly designed for Data Doll and so tragic that we don't have access to.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did it on purpose.
Yeah.
They these guys have math. They've got 3 out of 4. They don't need more.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see.
Awful.
The other typical things that go into Mechanologist deck is Overloop, Throttle, because Throttle is just like a generically great
Right.
attack for damage dealing, and Zipper Hit.
Yep. Zipper hit's good.
So Overloop is expensive, but it puts itself back in the deck,
Right.
which is just good because Mechanologist burns through its deck a lot. Throttle is just the best pound for pound damage, which it does cost 2. It doesn't do anything else, just 6 damage. So it is a little bit worse when we're already running a bunch of other 2 costs that
Right.
have more utility than this does, but it's still the highest powered attack essentially. Payload does match it. Payload is
Right.
strictly better.
Well, but
In theory.
this also boosts.
Oh wait, payload. Yes, true. Payload doesn't boost. Right.
So this is, I would say, slightly better, if not comparable.
This is better than payload in a Dash deck
Right.
for sure. And then in this deck, it's probably still playable. And then
Yeah.
Zipper Hit is nice because it only costs 1.
It costs 1.
And still does a decent bit of damage.
It does.
So, do we just try putting in the reds and the blues for all 3 of these and just seeing where that's got us
Sure.
card-wise? Because we're actually getting kind of close. Which is very surprising because I built the Dash deck a long time ago at this point, like half a year or more ago.
Right.
And I have a bunch of yellows because what I found was like for that deck, it's built around Crazy Boost into Overblast Chain, which means that every card has to be a Mechanologist card. And I found that to have 40 Mechanologist cards, I pretty much had to dump the whole pool of cards in.
Right.
And we are not having that problem right now. So Everfest apparently, Everfest plus 6 rares was enough to really skew that. It's
Makes
probably
sense.
good. Probably good, actually.
That makes me think of another card,
So put in these.
which I'm pretty sure was in your deck, but doesn't necessarily have to go in. It's Back Alley Break Line or whatever.
No,
it
it
is.
wasn't. It wasn't.
It wasn't?
I
Okay.
thought about it, but like it's the thing is it's just not worth it because like
Right.
it's kind of a medium and actually does it work off boost? I don't think it does work off boost.
It doesn't work off boost, but it's like if it's put into your banished zone,
I think
then it goes back into your deck or something.
No,
like that.
no. It gives you an action point when you reveal it, but I don't think boosting counts. I think it's just like the ranger gets to use it because the ranger can put it into the arsenal for like through the bow. Which, by the way, we are only
If
2
an
cards away.
activated ability or action card effect puts Back Alley Break Line face up into the A zone from your deck, gain 1 action point.
If a what? Activated ability or action card. That's the thing. Boost is not an activated ability. It's a triggered ability, I think.
But is it an action card effect?
No, because so that's either an action card or a. If I remember correctly, I think what it is that it doesn't count because it's like a triggered ability. But maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. The point is, you still wouldn't run it over like a Mechanologist card, even if it does work. I think I looked it up.
I think it does work for boost because it's like
All right,
you
let's
play
look
a
it up.
card, it has boost. You're not triggering it. That's just the action card effect. I think.
I definitely didn't spell that right. There we go. Let's see what the top one says. It does not work with Soul Shackles. That's what I was thinking of. It does work with Mechanologist. It doesn't work with Soul Shackles because Soul Shackles is like a triggered.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah. But I still don't think it's really, really worth it. Let's pull up the card. Because, I mean, like, it's a 1,
Right.
a 5.
I guess all it does is it gives you an action point.
All it basically does is that if you boost and hit this, you still gain go again.
Right.
Even though your boost failed. The problem is, because boost only gives you go again if you flip a Mechanologist card.
But then it counts towards your go again, but it doesn't count towards the boost. Essentially, that's what you're trying to say.
Well, yeah. Instead of getting go again onto the attack, because you won't from boosting, you gain an action point.
Right.
Which effectively gives you the same thing. The problem is, what if you draw this? Then it's just a 1/5 attack.
Right. That's true.
Which Zipper Hit is just strictly better than. Because that has boost.
That makes sense.
So,
okay.
yeah,
I just figured
that's
I'd
why.
bring it up.
That's why. But yes, Mechanologist was one of the classes that could actually consider it, but it's still not worth it.
Right. I don't think we'll need to do that.
Now, what is the math on this? How are we at 38 cards? Where's the other one of?
Did you add the pistol?
Oh, no, 30. Oh, it's 38 cards because it's counting the. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
37. So we need 3 more cards.
Okay.
We only have 2 yellows in the entire deck right now. So 4 total. That's impressive. I feel like we are going to need maybe some
What about
blues.
Teklovesen Workshop?
What does that one do again?
Opt X, where X is the number of times. Did we already add that? No. And then reveal the time. Oh, it essentially does what.
Yes.
It's an Opt X for 0.
It's something you can end the chain on.
Right.
And basically get free items off of.
And it also
potentially.
does Data Doll's basic ability.
Yeah, but you don't lose the card. So if you don't
Right.
hit any items, it's not that bad. But I don't think we necessarily want to do that.
Okay.
Because the thing is, we do have a lot of items that cost things. And I don't think we want a red or a yellow Teclovescin. So, like, looking at the deck right now, we have 17 reds, 16 blues. And we actually have, like, all these throttles, all these payloads, all these overloops.
Are you thinking...
that cost 2.
Right, okay.
So, like, throttle, overloop, payload. And then, like, we have items that even cost way too much.
So you're thinking add more yellows.
I'm thinking we add more blues.
More
possibly.
blues. Okay.
So I'm trying to look at what we
So maybe
have
we're going
not put
back
in
to
yet.
those back alley break lines.
Blue
back alley.
No. We have tons of options right
Okay.
now. So if we want to add blues, I mean so what we probably can do is we could probably add 1 more red, 2 more blues. Then we're 18 red, 18 blue, 4 yellow.
Ooh, a blue combustible courier.
Well, that's one of the ones I just just clicked on.
Yeah.
Is that one is doable?
I mean,
Or
it's doable. It's just
do we run maybe a 1 of yellow payload? Maybe we could get away with that. It's kind of better than throwing another red in, because the only other red we can throw in is like combustible courier, or for an attack it's just combustible courier,
right.
which is probably not super worth it.
I mean,
The blue one's probably fine though.
The blue one attacks for 2.
Yeah,
But I guess it does.
but think about it. It attacks for 2, so they don't
Yeah.
want to block it. But if they don't block it, it gives +3 to the next thing. So
Right.
they want to block it, which means that they're probably wasting some amount of block.
I guess so. Yeah. Okay, I can see it.
So I think it's probably playable, but probably just the blue.
Just the blue.
And that alone right there gets us to 18 blues.
What about the yellow?
For combustible?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
No. Hits for 3. Boost.
I cut that. That is the only mechanologist card that didn't make the cut in Dash. Just FYI.
Right.
That and like locked and loaded, I think I only have like blue in Dash.
Well,
and it's just there for resources, because like you kind of want to be mostly attacks in Dash.
Okay.
Whereas here, like, so we could do a locked and loaded, or we could do a rotary ram.
Well, just remember we're only doing a 1 of.
Yes. So we could put one of these of each of these in, or we can put a yellow payload in, and just have one more finisher.
Yeah, but that's so many finishers. That's
What do you mean so many finishers?
That's-
What are finishers? These aren't finishers.
That's
These are
5.
just hit them.
5 without boost.
Yeah, but I mean that's what Dash runs, but with Overblast. 2
Yeah, but
blue, 2 red, 1
Dash
yellow.
is more consistent, and you have a bigger hand.
Yeah, but this doesn't require much. And the thing is with the yellow is that it still pitches to pay for anything in our deck.
I guess.
That's the one nice thing. Is that it will pay for any card. Nothing costs more than 2.
You're gonna boost into this and to feel pain.
What? What are you talking about? You mean you're gonna boost into this and feel pain?
I guess that's true. I will make you feel my pain. How about that? Is that better?
All right. Well, that's our 40 card list there. So I guess now we go into the equipment, aside from the one we've already done.
Right.
So let's do the most complicated part of this last, which is the head. Legs. Legs is real easy.
Achilles accelerator.
Yes.
Because is that the only common mechanologist?
It's the only common mechanologist equipment, and it does do some decent things for us in the sense of like, it can give us go again if we have like a double payload hand, so we can do double payload, which is not necessarily as bad as like a double overblast hand with Dash, because overblast does nothing if you haven't boosted, whereas
Right.
payload's still at least a lot of damage if you haven't boosted.
Right. But you can only use it when you've boosted.
Oh yes, yeah. But if you boost like once, and then so if you boost like once, then you can still do this and do like boost payload, which would actually be pretty good. But all right, and then the one thing that's actually really good about Achilles Accelerator, like this is the thing I've used it the most for when playing
Arcane
Dash.
Barrier?
Well, Arcane Barrier is really good on it. That's the one thing, is we don't need null rune boots then, because we
true.
can just run this. But also, you do a full chain and you end on your payload, and maybe you have a hyperdriver and you have that one extra resource just floating around. You crack the boots, then you shoot him with a pistol.
Okay.
So that's the big thing it's useful for. Is I'll do that with Dash a lot, where I'll finish the overblast chain and I'll have one more resource than I needed, and so I'll crack the boots and then shoot them with a gun, assuming they're still alive at the end of the overblast chain.
Okay.
So it is still worth running, and realistically speaking, the other boots are very bad.
Would we run Ironhide in the...
I think there's an argument for sideboarding Ironhide or Runaways.
Right. Okay.
Probably Ironhide in this case. So we'll put an Ironhide in for like the sideboard. Now Arms. Arms is pretty easy, I would say. I think
Goliath Gauntlet.
yeah, I think she's very much a Goliath Gauntlet, just like Dash is. So
that's what I thought.
because both of their finishers cost 2.
Yep.
So this works. And one of the cool things about Goliath Gauntlet is so it will end the chain
Right.
when you crack it. But it does not work like a certain chess piece item, Hardened Cross Straps. Whereas this Hardened Cross Straps say the next attack action card you play this turn costs 2 less.
Right.
Goliath Gauntlet says the next attack action card with cost 2 or greater gets +2. So you can crack this, then go like 0 to 60, 0 to 60, 0 to 60.
Okay.
Overblast.
That makes
and
sense.
Overblast still gets the buff because it was the first thing to happen that would pull that trigger. Or
Okay.
in our case, in a way that's almost better from like Overblast, is that our finisher has Dominate. So this is even better.
So you'd start off the chain with that.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you'd crack the gloves, and then you'd go boost, 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 payload.
I mean, it does show your hand a little, but...
Yeah. But I mean, what are they going to do about it?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really the only good option here. Chest. This is where it's more debatable. So
So
see.
in that case, you wouldn't do Hardened Cross
So
Straps?
I do run cross
You
straps.
do? Okay.
In my Dash deck, and I think that's still correct. There's a debate. Like, so the two big things to choose from with Mechanologist is whether you want to go cross straps or Vest of the First Fist. Vest of the First Fist, much like the Ninja, is a great way to produce 2 resources without ending the chain.
Right.
But you have to hit to do it. Whereas cross straps you can just always use. Now, I lean towards cross straps because we have a lot of 2 costs and they're not all finishers.
Right, okay.
So what I'll do in Dash usually is I'll crack cross straps to make a throttle free, and I'll start the chain with throttle, and then 0 to 60 overblast, and
That
just
makes
find
sense.
a way to pay for the overblast. But I think it is very... I think it's very debatable to do Vest, too. I think Vest is reasonable, but again, you have to hit, and that can definitely ruin things for you.
Right.
And oftentimes, if you're doing, like, if you have 2 costs, you're still paying for one of them. So, like, you might as well start with the one and pay with cross straps, and then pay for the second one with whatever you would have paid for one.
Okay. So then we should stick with Cross Straps?
Yeah, I think so, but honestly, that's the most player choice thing ever.
Okay.
Like you 100% can take Vest of the First Fist and not be trolling at all. Like, it's still like I consider these to be very comparable. I think this is slightly more consistent, and I think this has slightly higher upsides.
Should we add First Fist as a sideboard or no?
Probably not,
No,
because it's probably
okay.
like one of those things that like you're just gonna pick whichever one you enjoy the most, and you're never going to have a real reason to sideboard
That's
it.
true. Okay. Well,
And I do think Vest has slightly more upside with Dash, because with Dash it has the benefit of, like, if you have a hand full of 0 to 60s and an Overblast, if one of those 0 to 60s connect, you can pay for the Overblast
Right.
without pitching anything. Whereas with Data Doll, she doesn't quite have as many, like, she does have a 2-cost finisher, but like it's not this crazy chain thing, so like
right.
it's probably the upside's not quite as there.
Now, what about Ironhide chest?
Well, I guess the question is we kind of have to decide what our best in slot pieces are right now. And I think with Mechanologist, you are supposed to consider either the chest the best or the gloves.
Okay.
And I think both are pretty much guaranteed to do something in every game you play them in.
Mm-hmm.
And realistically speaking, you're probably not going to sideboard either out. You're going to sideboard the boots and the hat first.
Okay, that makes sense.
Probably,
that is how I normally do it, at least for this.
I want to say with Dash, I made the chest the most important, and I have, like, sideboard gloves. Because, like, when you think about it, the gloves is just doing extra damage, whereas the chest piece is letting you do things on your turn. So my idea there was, like, if you go Ironhide gloves, is, like, if you run into a matchup where they're very much the aggro deck and you have to play control, you'd rather just lose the +2 damage,
right?
Than because, like, cross traps, you can still be like block with a bunch of cards and keep a throttle in hand, and then just be cross traps throttle and
that's
do something.
True. Okay.
But I don't know that that's actually accurate. But that was the logic I put into Dash with it.
Right, and then it would be the same case for, like, Null Rune.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it would be the same case with that. Right, which Null Rune Arms is actually supposed to go into this. What do we got for equipment? 7. So we still have 4 more slots.
You do Null Runes as a sideboard for Goliath?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, because you're not doing it for the legs.
Right, you don't have to, because that already has Arcane
and then
Barrier.
the head slot, you are doing Ironhide Helm and Null Rune Hood probably.
Yep, that makes sense.
Just to have those as the sideboard things. And then this is the real one. I told you about this.
Ragamuffins. Is it Ragamuffins?
So I think there is a perfectly legitimate argument to be made for all 3 choices.
Okay.
I think you can actually pick all of these hats.
Interesting.
So Hope Merchant's Hood, I think, is probably the weakest. It's hard to say. So, like, where this would be good is that if you have a handful of items, you can shuffle them all in.
Emphasis on full.
Well, not necessarily, though.
3 cards.
Well, yeah. But not necessarily, too, though. Like, if you have one item in your hand, you can shuffle that in and hope you pull an attack. You know, like, that's not bad. That's not bad. It's a good way to get items out of your hand and back into the deck. It's possible
you could boost that item back out again.
Yes. Or what you could end up doing is cracking your Hope Merchant's Hood, shuffling your 3 items back into the deck, and then drawing the same 3 items from your deck, and it did nothing. So that's why I think it's on the weaker side of the 2.
Okay.
Is that it's like, it is a way to get the items out of your hand and back into the deck, but you have no idea if they'll stay in the deck or come back into your hand.
Right.
Whereas the other 2 is a lot more like certainties. So, Talismanic Lens is a good hat. It's a good hat. I run Hope Merchant's Hood and Dash because she doesn't care about opting so much. But for us, we do care about opting. And Talismanic Lens is really good for decks that care about opting. Because this can help us make sure that there's an item on top.
Yep.
But Ragamuffin's Hood also does something very, very neat.
Because you draw a card and then you
put one on top.
Right.
Or bottom.
Yep.
Or bottom. So if you have all attacks, you can always put the attack back on the bottom. But if you do have items in hand, you can make sure that you're boosting that item. So that's why I lean towards, like, this seems like the most Ragamuffin hat deck you could have.
Because there is one hat that you're forgetting about.
Uh-oh.
It's the one with Spellfray.
Oh.
You don't actually have to look it up. It's the rare one that destroys itself instead of Arcane Barrier. You don't have to pay for it.
Does that?
Yeah, it's Spellfray armor.
Well, no, those are commons.
Those are rare, aren't they?
But I don't think there is a Spellfray hat.
Oh.
I think it's just on Ebonfold and the Light hat.
No.
I'm not. Either that or they didn't program it in because it's not here.
Huh.
There's no Spellfray hat.
Oh yeah.
But Spellvoid is on Ebonfold in the Halo of Illumination, so maybe they just didn't print a Spellfray hat because of that. The only other hats we have are Legendary and Majestic, so...
I'm looking it up.
I wish we had Viziertronic. So very, very cool.
You're right. It's
Very
just
cool
cloak,
hat.
gloves, and leggings.
Yep. Because it was with all light and shadow heroes.
I mean, I was just trying to make a joke anyways.
Yeah, oh yeah. But jokes aside, jokes aside, if we could use Ebb and Fold in this deck, it actually would probably be pretty good, because I think that would trigger the item. Because you just banish it, right? And then that would that trigger Data Doll? Does she require the thing to have been put there from... Oh, never mind. Data Doll's so gimped. It does require it to come out of your deck.
Yeah.
Okay, but jokes aside, the choices between Talismanic Lens and Ragamuffin's Hat. So, Talismanic Lens lets you go too deep for items, which is kind of nice.
Right.
But Ragamuffin's Hat lets you take an item that's in your hand and put it back onto your deck, and exactly where you want it to be. So it gives you that kind of control. So I feel like we do Ragamuffin's Hat. If just as much, because this is the best possible situation to have ever put Ragamuffin's Hat in. Now, you do have to only have one card in your hand, but to activate it. But
that's
we
fairly
already
simple.
only have 3.
Yeah.
And this is an instant, so it does not end the chain to do that.
That's true.
So, which all these hats are instants, but you can start your chain and then right before the end crack the hat.
Mm.
Now it does have a downside of, at that point, you can put the item on top, but if you don't draw an attack to boost it away,
right.
But maybe you have like an attack in your arsenal and you're down to 1 card in hand.
You can decide.
Yeah, you can always put it on the bottom in that situation.
You'll
because you do see the card first, and then So yeah, we'll put the hat in. Now, technically speaking, this means we have 1 sideboard slot left, I think. So, arms we have Ironhide, Goliath, and Nullrune. Legs we have Ironhide and Achilles. I don't think there's any world in which we do something different here. So,
did you put the Nullrune hood?
Nullrune chest, maybe? Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I guess you could do Nullrune
chest.
Or Spell Fray Cloak.
Okay, you know what?
I'm pretty sure that is a rare, though, isn't it?
No, it's common.
I think it is.
It's a common. Oh, wait.
It is a rare.
Oh my lord.
See? It's really shitty.
Oh my god.
That's why I made the joke.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Why are they so bad?
Well, it's because they don't cost
Why do
anything.
they hate common or blitz? We don't even get the bad crap.
Yeah.
That's too good for us.
Well, now it's not.
Yeah.
Now we can.
Well, that's true.
We could put that in.
That's true. Yeah, we can burn a rare slot on
Yeah.
our one-use thing. I mean,
Who
regardless,
needs a hyperdriver?
regardless, you still would use the Nullrune anyways, because it is better than Spell Fray.
Is hyperdriver rare?
No, it's common. Aether Sync.
Yeah.
Aether
Well,
Sync
no, we didn't put that in.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were saying maybe you. In that case, you would.
Amplification. I don't remember the cards. Look, we just did it, but I still don't remember.
I think Nullrune Robe goes in
Convection
as our last,
amplifier. Is that what I'm thinking of?
Yeah, that's the right one. Nullrune Robe, I think we actually do play though, because I think there's a non-zero number of situations where we would actually sideboard this in.
Right. Okay.
I think there's a real thing where you're like, okay, you love the heart, like. The argument I made for never replacing cross straps is that when you need to be defensive, like if you are the slow deck and they're the aggro deck, you can bring in the Ironhide gauntlets, and now you've gone down on the amount of damage you can put out, but you've gone up on how much you can block.
Right.
Whereas cross straps will let you play things for free, so you can block with the cards in hand and then play the attack for free. But in a wizard matchup, you can't block with the cards in hand. So you can only pitch them to pay for Arcane Barrier.
Right.
So you probably don't need Hardened Cross Straps as much in that kind of matchup. And so then you are more likely to just throw in the 3 Nullrune plus the Achilles Accelerator.
But you're not taking into account Dissipation Shield.
Well, I mean, that just saves you 1 turn, essentially. That's 1 good turn that lets you use your hand of 3 cards in this case.
Throwing it out there.
Well, yeah. But I do think in a wizard matchup, you actually probably bring in all the Nullrune.
Yeah, I believe that.
You know, whatever.
And we have the slot. I mean, what else could we put in there?
Yeah,
other
true.
Than
since we always used our rare slot, so we can't put in Plasma Barrel Shot. So.
I mean, we could put it in there.
Arcane Lantern.
Oh,
Arcane
wait, no, we
Lantern
can't,
is
'cause it's
something
rare.
we can put in.
Oh, is that the
Neat.
offhand?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Is that rare?
Yes, it is.
Uh,
The offhand Arcane Barrier.
no, that's a merchant weapon.
I wonder... Well, you say that. You say that.
It is. I mean, merchants can use that.
Does Oldhim burn a rare slot on this? Because he uses the shield,
Right, okay.
which into a wizard matchup is useless. So is it worth using a rare slot for Oldhim to have Arcane Barrier in his offhand to go with his weapon? Although I think the argument with Oldhim was that you would run a Nothos instead of the one-handed weapon in the wizard matchup and just try to kill them quicker. But I forget the logic I put into that deck.
Well, I mean, you're using frost counters on
Yeah. Well, I guess
on
that's
a
true.
wizard. That just... So I don't think you would need that. But
Probably
that's a
not.
completely different
Yeah,
scenario.
that is a
than what we-
completely different,
Yeah.
completely different hero, completely different deck, but one that I love very dearly, and you not quite so much.
No. And it's not for reasons
although
of anything to do with...
Honestly, the Lexi deck
Flesh and blood.
The Lexi deck felt way better as a control deck than Oldhim did.
Yeah. Well, it was a tempo deck.
Yeah.
It is a tempo deck.
Yep. Which we'll have to upgrade that deck, but either way, I think that that does it for episode 5 here. We
Okay.
have our 11 equipment, our 40 main deck cards.
Our 6 rares.
Yep, our 6 rares with our 1 T-bone. Yeah, so I think this is probably the
Most
competitive we could do for Data Doll.
Data Doll deck that has ever existed and ever will because they hate us.
So you got your 10 items that you can get for free. Some of them are mediocre and the others are bad.
No,
I'd say
we didn't put the bad.
they're all pretty mediocre.
We didn't put the bad in here.
So
the eighth or something.
Hyperdriver is good. Hyperdriver is good. Convection Amplifier is good.
Yep.
The rest I would say are fairly mediocre / good in certain situations, but not bad, not bad. I will be very interested to see how this deck does. That's the part I'm most curious on. I actually love our curve. I feel like this is really good. The 17, 5, and 18. So we can actually pay for a lot of our stuff.
You know what I want to see from Mechanologist? Dual pistols. That would be great.
Oh, that would be so broken outside of Commoner.
What would it... Let's see.
Well, because it has all those pistol items that boost pistols.
Right, yes. But I'm thinking, like, how would you nerf that? You'd have to have, like... It would be
I
like...
guess they don't. There's no way for them to have go again,
Or, like, they overheat. I
maybe.
could see that. That would be interesting.
That would be something neat to see out of Mechanologist, is kind of like Steam counters in reverse. Where, like, you put them on the thing when you do something, and having them is bad. So, like, the more you have, it overheats. That kind of thing. That would be a cool way to see it.
Or, like, if you attack with both weapons in one turn, you can't use them the next turn.
Something like that.
I don't know. That would be cool.
But yeah. Alright. Well, that's episode 5. We will probably have a Dash versus Data Doll Commoner Blitz game at some point.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it'll be very fair and balanced.
Yep.
It's just, the best Data Doll we could make versus
the best
arguably one of the best decks, I think, in Commoner. Maybe I'm biased on this, but
okay.
After Ball Lightning was banned, I think Dash is back to the top of the highest damage output in one single turn.
Of course.
Maybe. We'd have to really, really calculate it, like some of the crazier stuff we could do, like maybe there's a way Ranger can get up to that level if you have like an actual obscene draw with a bunch of reloading, but
maybe we should wait for that rematch to come out for the next set. The next set that has more Mechanologist
I think it's good right
items.
now. I think it's good right now. I hope Mechanologist is in the next set. I hope Mechanologist and Wizard are in the next set. Because we could use
You're always hoping for Wizard. You got a Wizard this time.
It's majestic. There's still only one Wizard in Commoner. So...
But you got a Wizard. You asked. They gave it to you.
All right. Well, if you enjoyed the podcast, leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more bi-weekly podcasts and occasional Commoner videos when I get the chance to edit them. And also an Everfest seal game coming at some point. That's happening. I'm excited for that.
Bye.